What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I hope you guys are doing extremely well. There's a video of a starter deck I did not get the chance to do, and unfortunately, due to not having all of its proper pieces, I won't be able to fully do a proper deck profile on it, but I'm definitely going to talk about it overall. It's, well, the monster that you see in front of you, Imperialdramon. In Starter Deck 9, the Ultimate Ancient Dragon came out May 13th in English of 2022, and in North America it was released 14 days later on May 27th of 2022. This is by far one of the stronger of the two starter decks that were released at that time, because the second is Masterminds. Yeah, started at 10, the Parallel World Tactician. Mastermind and Imperialdramon were released simultaneously, just like most starter decks in Digimon, where there's two variations, with basically the same style. You know, we had the one with Cinderellamon and Zephyrimon. Matt and Ty always have one, of course, and then so on and so forth. So I wanted to take the time to take a look at this starter deck. Of course, you can easily look it up online if you would like to see um, the full list of it. But I do have a list next to me because that's how I knew about the release date. It's a pretty standard deck, you know, the 50 main deck, the 4 cards for the Digitama, and it consists of both green and blue Digimon, in the combination of green and blue. So this starter deck is the second starter deck to the first of the two starter decks to consist of DNA Digivolution. And the whole concept behind this is to help you go into Imperialdramon or Dinobemon, use their abilities, and then go straight into Imperialdramon Dragon mode. Yeah, Imperialdramon Dragon mode, because let's all be honest, fighter mode is way more broken. And the concept of fighter mode still is broken. But don't get me wrong, because Dragon mode has definitely gotten some really good pieces to itself as years went on, and definitely just keeping itself together, because it's still, like I said, a really cool concept for the Digimon starter decks and how things panned out. So, let me give you a quick overview of everything and the cards that are in it, because this will take about a good 3 minutes. So, 50 cards, 54 cards in total. You get your little paper play mat, your index cards for your rules, and you get your additional stuff there. For the lineup, your Digitama are 4 copies of Moonimon. Then you have 2 copies of Vmon, 4 copies of Betamon, 4 copies of XVmon, 2 copies of Imperialdramon, 2 copies of Imperialdramon Dragon Mode, 4 copies of Kokabuterimon, 4 copies of Wormmon, 4 copies of Stingmon, 2 copies of Sinmon, 4 copies of Dinobemon, 4 copies of Jeweled Bemon, 2 copies, 4 copies, sorry, not 2, 4 copies of Grand Coagamon, 2 copies of Megadeth, 4 copies of Hail Masquerade, and 4 copies of Flower Cannon. And that's literally the lineup of things that you get in this starter deck. Now, reading off of that, the main gimmick of the starter deck, besides DNA Digivolution, is suspending and unsuspending cards to basically gain advantage of the field. And most of the time, whatever you're suspending, you're sending back to the hand, or you're sending it into the deck. I am looking actually at the variations of the cards here, and they're pretty good. One thing that was in parallel to the Parallel World Tactician is that both of them came with a particular Digimon to help the DNA Digivolution. For this deck, it is Wormmon, while Mastermon's deck got Salamon. to help out with the DNA Digivolution. Now, I'm going to particularly say that both, while being vanilla and or not having any ability, still works out pretty well if you want a Digimon to help DNA Digivolve as soon as possible. I know there are better options, and trust me, there are, but it's funny though because they only gave Wormmon this ability, and there's no other Digimon in the starter deck that does it. All of them have their own abilities or have no abilities, and they focus on different characteristics of the deck. While Mastemon got two to try to speed up the DNA Digivolution, but there was only one target. And with the amount of support that came out following both Parallel World Tactician and the Ultimate Ancient Dragon, the sets themselves did not exclude them, but did also take them into different territories, because Imperialdramon went purple and black to introduce Imperialdramon Fighter Mode Black, Imperialdramon Fighter Mode Purple. Imperialdramon Dragon Mode, Imperialdramon Paladin Mode. Fighter Mode Red and Black. Red and Purple. But there was support, I believe, in the following main set before October. I think it was the extra set that year, and it had support for Imperialdramon lineup. You know, the purple and the blue, and then they also had like the older purple and blue cards as well, where there was the the XVmon with jamming, the Stingmon with piercing. There was the Davis and Ken that really helped it out, because actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was either EX8 or EX9 that came out, and it had major wave of O2 card, Adventure 2 support to help out with this deck, because there was a Ken, there was a Davis. They were both searching. They were adding Digimon of the particular color or free. They're really just speeding up the process. And it's funny because while Imperialdramon got all of this in hindsight, Mastemon didn't really get a lot of that till later on. Like, she doesn't have her respective tamer from her series get the memory boost. She didn't have, her tamer searching for her cards. They're all relied onto with the Digimon that do that. Mirai has a Tailmon that searches for two Tailmon that searches for pieces. Then she has the Angelmon and Lady Devimon that helps retrieve her. While Imperialdramon stuff really just focuses on putting the DNA Digivolution together, getting the DNA Digivolution set up, and then working your magic from there. I have to honestly say, it's crazy how much effort was put into one but not the other. But then when you realize the big, oh, that makes sense moment, it kind of makes you feel like, well, where was the effort put into her when there's effort put into one starter deck, there's not much effort put into the other. I believe Mastemon was definitely supposed to be for show, but their longevity was main protagonist Digimon. Let's make sure that they have the Shining Force. While it didn't take long for Imperialdramon, Mastemon did have a little more of the shine. Now, record-wise, it's definitely Imperialdramon by a margin of things. And I've always said that if this Digimon basis is because of him having the main protagonist syndrome, it's definitely main protagonist syndrome. And I don't hate Vmon. That's the thing. I don't hate Vmon. I don't hate Wormmon. I love the glow-ups. But I gotta call a spade a spade. And I never really believe Bandai cared much about Mastemon or Mirai because waifu. And of course, as we know, waifu for lifu situations don't really get, those major things lined up. So because she was the waifu and he isn't, her Mastermind struggles a lot more than she does. Like, yeah, there are ways you can add, memory setters, and you can add Digimon to help out, but they're also limited as well. They aren't like Vmon and Wormmon in terms of things they can get, things they can set up for, and it's a lot harder for Mastermind decks outside of, decks for Imperialdramon, because they don't have to wait till they're level 4 or 5. They can get it into their Digivolutions right there. And even with the newer cards for Imperialdramon, you don't even have to wait, the excessive time. You can simply just go straight into, whatever setup you would like to, and then DNA Digivolve, and then become Imperialdramon. Or you can just put the Imperialdramon on top, and then put the Imperialdramon Fighter Mode on top, and then play around with that. So, when you look at a deck like this, like even without the Imperialdramon, you got the Hellflame Sight to help you with Suspended and Unsuspended. You have the abilities of both Dino Beamon and Imperialdramon, even before you get to Imperialdramon Dragon mode. You have way better setup in Searchers, way better setup in the overall lineup, and it's definitely the better built starter deck. And even so, as you've seen the evolution of it, it was a lot easier to play with that DNA Digivolution line than it is with Mastermind. And I don't hate the Mastermind. I don't hate Mastermind. I don't hate the conception of things. I hate how things were executed and what they're ultimately panning into. Because I will have a video where I talk about Mastermind in just the longevity of things. But pretty solid starter deck. If I were to rate it, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Because the concepts are there, the lineups of things are there. It's a pretty solid deck. And just off of most of the support that it did have, Imperialdramon takes the cake for a lot of those major points. So, would I recommend it? Yeah. Is it recommended for the longevity, considering what's been going on? Yes, it does. And even if you decide to want to switch up colors, you still have enough support to switch up the colors for Imperialdramon. So you can, do a little BT16, do a little BT20, I believe. Get all these different lineups and setups together, and bam, there you go. You got a deck that can top events and do extremely well and not have any major backdraws, unless you just get overpowered by whatever else is out there. But that's just enough for numbers, right? Right. So, let me know what you guys think overall of the Imperialdramon deck. I have one more video to do, and that's for Nasty, and I will be uploading that once it is finished and ready to go. So, Imperialdramon players, here are your flowers, because you definitely do deserve it. And I wish you guys the best, because I know you guys are now going back into the purple and dark red variant. But I heard there's like a little bit of splash of cards from other sets as well. So kudos to you, and I hope it goes well for you. But I'm going to wrap up the video here. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because that helps out the channel. The socials are in the description box below. And I will just catch you guys next time. HBJ signing out. Take care.